Number 15. The forbidden habits of the women of the North. Iceland lies in the North Atlantic Ocean, right on the boundary where two of Earth's major tectonic plates are gradually drifting apart. By the end of the first quarter of 2026, the country will have approximately 395,000 residents. Nearly a fifth of the population are immigrants, making Iceland today far more diverse and modern than the image of an isolated Viking community in the middle of the ocean. In 2025, this small island will welcome around 2-3 million international tourists, many times more than its resident population. Icelandic women are often described for their distinctive Nordic beauty, bright eyes, well-defined facial features, and a confident yet understated demeanor. However, what truly sets them apart is not just their appearance, but also their independence, which has become a natural part of their social lives. In Iceland, a woman's value is not determined by whether she is married, living alone, or raising children without a husband. Being a single mother is not considered a failure, much less something to be ashamed of. A woman can still build a career, raise children, own a home, participate in politics, and hold important positions without relying on marriage for recognition. This perspective stems from a society that values gender equality, self-determination, and personal responsibility. Women are encouraged to study, work, pursue their own goals, and speak out on issues affecting their lives. In relationships, they often value respect, honesty, and shared responsibility more than traditional roles. Living together, having children before marriage, or not marrying at all, does not make a family less stable. Therefore, the beauty of Icelandic women doesn't just come from their bright hair, striking eyes, or the strong features of the Northerners. It also lies in how they enter society with an equal footing, self-reliance, and without needing a man to validate their worth. If you love the stories behind each land, please subscribe and join us. Number 14. Living on fire. Iceland has transformed one of its greatest threats into a source of energy for daily life. Much of the country lies on a highly active geological area where rainwater seeps deep into the ground, is heated by magma, and then returns to the surface as hot springs and steam. The danger lies just beneath the surface. Yet, this very heat source now provides about 90% of the energy used to heat homes, helping many families maintain a stable temperature even during snow, strong winds, and the dark winter months. If you want to visit this land of fire and ice someday, don't forget to leave a like. Furthermore, geothermal hot water doesn't just flow through heating systems in homes, it's also channeled to public swimming pools, schools, hospitals, industrial areas, and agricultural greenhouses. Thanks to controlled temperatures and artificial lighting, Iceland can grow tomatoes, cucumbers, herbs, and many other crops near the Arctic Circle, where the natural growing season is very short. This is a remarkable paradox. A frigid country, utilizing the heat of the Earth's core to produce fresh food year-round. In particular, in some areas like Laugarvatn, people even utilize the hot earth to bake rye bread. The dough is placed in a sealed container, buried in the high-temperature ground, and left to bake slowly for hours. The result is a dense, soft, and slightly sweet bread, baked without the need for a conventional electric oven. However, this energy source is not entirely harmless. The geological system that creates the hot springs is also the cause of earthquakes, volcanoes, and fissures that can threaten entire towns. Iceland cannot control the power beneath the Earth's surface. They have simply learned to live with it. If you enjoy informative but engaging videos, now is the time to subscribe. Number 13. The strongest men who have ever lived. With a population of only around 400,000, Iceland has produced an astonishing number of strongman champions, from Jon Paul Sigmarsson to Magnus Ver Magnusson and Hafþór Björnsson. This is no coincidence. For centuries, strength in Iceland wasn't for show. It was a condition for survival. On farms lacking machinery, laborers pulled boats, lifted rocks, transported goods, and tended livestock amid strong winds, ice, and harsh volcanic terrain. One of the most famous challenges was the Husafell rock. Weighing approximately 186 kilograms, anyone strong enough to lift it off the ground and carry it a certain distance was considered to possess true strength. A diet rich in fish, lamb, and dairy products also provided a large amount of protein, while Viking sagas have long celebrated the image of the strongest man as a hero. Physical fitness, therefore, isn't just about the gym, it's in the culture. The secret isn't supplements or a magic workout program. It's about generations of people becoming strong to work and survive. The Icelanders even have a famous saying, "There's no reason to live if you can't deadlift." Number 12. Crazy for ice cream, even in a snowstorm. For the most part, Icelanders have a habit that seems completely contrary to their climate, eating ice cream in the middle of winter. In a place where snow can blanket the streets, strong North Atlantic winds blow, and temperatures frequently drop below freezing, ice cream shops are still busy year-round. People don't need to wait for summer to enjoy this cold dessert. Even when it's snowing, some families still get in their cars, drive through icy roads, and queue up to buy ice cream. To tourists from tropical countries, the sight of someone holding a cup of ice cream in sub-zero temperatures might seem quite strange. But in Iceland, it's more than just eating. Buying ice cream has become a familiar social activity. Families take their children out, friends meet up at the shop, and couples might drive around the city while enjoying ice cream. During the winter months, when darkness lasts for much of the day and the weather makes people more likely to be stuck indoors, an ice cream trip becomes a simple reason to get out, chat, and get a change of scenery. Icelanders don't wait for the weather to become pleasant to enjoy life. They create joy right in the middle of the cold season. Ice cream isn't the only fast food item that holds a special place in Icelandic life. Hot sausage is also a famous street food icon of the country. Icelandic sausages are typically made from a mixture of lamb, beef, and pork. The lamb component gives them a distinct flavor compared to many sausages common in Europe or North America. A complete sausage is usually placed in a soft bun, then topped with raw onions, fried shallots, sweet mustard, ketchup, and remoulade. A creamy sauce often made with mayonnaise, the combination of mildly spicy raw onions, crispy fried shallots, and sweet sauces creates a simple yet memorable dish. The most famous place to try this dish is Bajurins Bestu Pilsur in Reykjavik. This small stall has been operating for decades and regularly appears on travel food lists. Despite selling only a simple dish, it has hosted many famous figures, including former US President Bill Clinton. The most popular way to order it is Eina Meth Olu, which means one with everything, simply saying this will get you a sausage topped with onions and the traditional sauce. Besides ice cream and sausages, Icelanders are also known for their fondness for sweet drinks, especially Coca-Cola. This beverage is commonly found in shops, restaurants, and fast food outlets. Therefore, Icelandic cuisine isn't just about fermented shark, sheep's heads, or extreme survival dishes. Their modern life is also shaped by simple pleasures: a hot sausage, a bottle of soda, and a cup of ice cream enjoyed while snow still falls outside the window. Number 11. The mineral bath ritual that holds society together. In Iceland, public pools are not just places for exercise, but also serve as central plazas for each community. Almost every town, even those with only a few hundred inhabitants, has a pool heated by geothermal energy. Alongside the swimming lanes are often hot pots at various temperatures, where people soak in the rain, snow, or cold wind. It's also where everyday conversations take place. Icelandics come to the pool to meet neighbors, catch up on local news, discuss the weather, politics, work, and changes in town. Older people may arrive early in the morning, children after school, and friends meet at the hot pot instead of a bar. In a country with long winters and months of darkness, this warm space helps people maintain social connections without spending too much money. Before entering the water, all swimmers must shower thoroughly without swimwear. Signs usually indicate areas that need cleaning. and staff may remind visitors if they disregard the rule. This is not an unpleasant procedure, but rather a way to keep the water clean while minimizing the amount of chlorine used. For locals, affordable swimming pools are often far more important than the famous spas frequented by tourists. The Blue Lagoon has beautiful scenery and a high entrance fee, but the pool in this residential area truly belongs to everyday life. There, professions and status almost disappear. People sit together in the warm steam, amidst the cool air, and continue the unfinished conversations from the previous day. Number 10. Surviving darkness and wind. When summer arrives, Iceland experiences almost no complete darkness. The sun only sinks near the horizon before rising again, leaving the sky dimly lit for hours. Night virtually disappears. Locals can play golf, hike, garden, or drive at midnight and still see their surroundings clearly, while tourists often need blackout curtains to get to sleep on time. Summer life is therefore longer, more vibrant, and sometimes makes it difficult for the body to recognize when it's time to rest. In winter, everything is completely reversed. Reykjavik only gets a few hours of daylight each day. The sun rises late and quickly disappears in the early afternoon, forcing many people to go to work in the dark and return home long after dark. The cold weather isn't always the most unpleasant part. The wind is the real danger. Strong gusts from the North Atlantic can blow car doors open, damage hinges, or cause collisions with other vehicles if drivers open them carelessly. On open roads, crosswinds can even push camper vans, light trucks, and tall vehicles off the road, especially when the road is covered in ice or snow. Therefore, Icelanders often check wind speeds, weather forecasts, and road conditions before even seemingly ordinary trips. In Iceland, light dictates life, while wind dictates whether a trip should begin or not. Number 9. The cuisine that challenges your courage. Icelandic traditional cuisine is shaped by its cold climate, short growing seasons, and centuries of isolation in the North Atlantic. In the past, imported food was expensive, refrigerators were non-existent, and winters could last for months. Every part of an animal was valuable, so wasting food was almost unacceptable. To survive, Icelanders learned to dry, smoke, salt, and ferment meat and fish to preserve them for longer periods. The most famous dish is hakarl, fermented Greenland shark meat. When fresh, the meat of this species contains compounds that can be harmful to humans and cannot be eaten immediately. After initial processing, the meat must undergo a process of drying and hanging for months until the levels of dangerous substances are reduced to a safe level. The finished product has a very strong ammonia smell, which makes many tourists want to give up just by smelling it. But for Icelanders, hakarl is not simply a strange dish. It is a relic of a time when the ability to transform a dangerous food source into safe food could determine whether an entire community survived the winter. Besides hakarl, traditional Icelandic cuisine also includes boiled lamb's head, dried fish, smoked lamb, and many pickled or fermented dishes. In the past, these methods allowed families to utilize almost every part of the animal and preserve food through the long winter. Today, they are no longer a regular part of daily meals, but they still hold an important place in the culture. Many dishes are served at winter festivals, gatherings, or traditional events as a way of recalling a time when Icelanders had to turn scarcity into a means of survival. Number 8. Iceland's terrifying Christmas monsters. During Christmas, Icelandic children don't just wait for Santa Claus to appear at night. Instead, they welcome 13 Yule lads, mischievous mountain dwellers who come down to the village for 13 nights before Christmas. Each Yule lad has a unique personality and habit. Some lick spoons, others like to steal sausages, and yet another often slams doors to wake the whole family. Each night, children place a shoe by the window. If they behave well, they receive a small gift, candy, or toy the next morning. But if they misbehave, the reward might only be a potato. This tradition transforms the days leading up to Christmas into a nearly 2-week wait, both fun and a little scary. and quite different from the familiar image of Santa Claus in many other countries. Even scarier than the 13 Yule lads is their mother, Grilla, a giant demoness said to live in a mountain cave and descend upon the village to hunt naughty children. Legend says she would capture them, bring them home, and put them in a large pot. But this bizarre family has another member, Jolakodarin, or the Christmas cat, a giant feline said to devour those who didn't receive new clothes before the holidays. The story sounds more like a horror movie than a children's tradition, but it has real origins. In ancient Icelandic agrarian society, people had to finish processing, spinning, and weaving wool before winter. Hard workers were rewarded with new clothes, while lazy ones did not. Since warm wool could determine survival, the Christmas cat became a terrifying warning to motivate the entire community to complete their work on time. If the land of volcanoes, ice, and elves has captivated you, please help this video by giving it a like. Number 7. Ancient culture and gloriously peculiar laws. Beyond the monsters that appear during Christmas, Icelandic culture also features huldufolk, meaning hidden beings, often simply referred to as elves by foreigners. Interestingly, most Icelanders don't definitively assert the existence of these creatures, but they rarely outright deny their existence either. For many, the possibility of huldufolk's existence lies somewhere between legend, folklore, and a respect for the unexplained. This belief sometimes influences real-world decisions. Some road or construction projects have had to adjust plans when rocks, mounds, or natural areas were considered by the community to be inhabited by hidden beings. In some cases, the controversy isn't necessarily due to absolute belief in magic, but rather because the stories are linked to the landscape, local history, and areas the community doesn't want leveled for a shorter road. Therefore, huldufolk are not just part of a quirky folklore, they represent how Icelanders perceive nature. On an island where earthquakes can tear the earth apart, volcanoes can force entire towns to evacuate, and blizzards can obliterate roads in hours, humans have never truly had complete control over their environment. Leaving a rock untouched, avoiding a hill, or listening to the community's memory serves as a reminder that not everything needs to be moved, exploited, or rebuilt according to human will. Number 6. Infants sleep outdoors in the biting cold. In Iceland, the sight of a baby sleeping in a stroller in the cold air doesn't cause alarm. It's a fairly common practice. Babies are often dressed in layers of clothing, wearing hats, wrapped in thick blankets, and left outside their homes, preschools, or cafes. Parents remain nearby, able to observe regularly and bring the child inside when the weather changes. Many Icelanders believe that cool, clean air helps babies sleep better and more soundly. Besides, the high level of safety also means they are less worried about leaving strollers outside for short periods. This practice reflects a society with a high degree of trust, but Icelanders build families in an even more flexible way. Many children are born before their parents are married, but that doesn't mean they grow up in unstable families. Couples may live together for years, raise children, buy a house, and share finances before getting married. Some never marry, but still maintain a fulfilling and responsible home life. Parental leave policies are designed to involve both parents in raising the child. Each parent has their own portion of leave, instead of the entire responsibility automatically falling on the mother. This arrangement allows fathers to be more present during the first few months of a child's life, and enables mothers to return to work sooner if they wish. Therefore, in Iceland, a family doesn't necessarily begin with wedding rings or a formal ceremony. It begins when two people care for a child together, share responsibilities, and build a life together. Number 5. The island that fought back against a volcano. First and foremost, Hymi was a peaceful fishing island in the Vestmannaeyjar archipelago until the night of January 1973, when a volcanic fissure suddenly opened up right next to the settlement, creating Mount Eldfell. Bright red lava erupted in the darkness, volcanic ash quickly covered rooftops, and tremors made it clear to the residents they had little time left. The island had to be evacuated. Almost the entire population was moved onto fishing boats anchored in the harbor. a fortunate coincidence that allowed thousands to leave the island in just a few hours. However, the people of Jaime refused to let the volcano decide the fate of their town. As the lava flow began to advance toward the harbor, vital to the fishing industry and the local economy, engineers and sailors pumped millions of tons of seawater onto the lava's surface to cool, slow, and divert it. The plan was extremely risky, but it worked. The harbor was protected, even though hundreds of structures were destroyed or buried under ash. Today, part of the old town still lies beneath layers of volcanic material, while the Eldheimar Museum is built around a house that was once buried to preserve the memory of the disaster. Besides its volcanic story, Jaime is also famous for its large puffins. In late summer, young puffins are sometimes disoriented by the town lights, and local children will find, care for, and release them back into the sea. Therefore, Jaime not only survived the volcano, the island continues to protect both its community and the tiny creatures that share its space. Number 4. Why Icelandic families have different last names. Most Icelanders don't use family surnames passed down through generations like in many other countries. Instead, the last name is usually formed from the father's or mother's name, combined with a suffix meaning son or daughter. Therefore, a man, his wife, and his children may have completely different last names. This is quite normal. Furthermore, the naming system influences daily communication. Icelanders often address each other by their first names, even when speaking to doctors, teachers, professors, or the prime minister, because the last name doesn't define an entire family line, as it does in many other societies. This way of addressing each other makes communication more direct and less formal. However, parents cannot arbitrarily choose any name for their child. The new name must conform to Icelandic spelling, pronunciation, and grammar, and be adaptable to different grammatical contexts. This system is sometimes seen as strict, but it helps protect a small language from the increasing influence of English and international culture. Number 3. Icelandic horses are not allowed to return to the island. In Iceland, horses are not just pets. They are an integral part of the island's history. This breed is small, strong, has a thick coat, and is excellent at navigating volcanic rock, rough dirt roads, and windy grasslands. Their most distinctive feature is their tolt gait, a smooth, four-legged rhythm that allows riders to move quickly with minimal jolting. Not every horse in the world can do this. Even more memorable are the regulations regarding import and export. Iceland prohibits the import of horses from abroad to protect its domestic herd from infectious diseases they have never been exposed to. An Icelandic horse sent abroad for competition, breeding, or sale is never allowed to return to the island. Leaving is permanent. Therefore, when a horse owner decides to export their animal, they must also accept that it may be the last time they see it in its homeland. Not only are horses subject to strict controls, but used saddles, bridles, shoes, and riding clothing may also have to be cleaned, disinfected, or prohibited from entering the country. Even a single item contaminated with dirt, hair, or secretions from foreign stables could carry pathogens. This strict isolation has helped the Icelandic horse breed maintain many of its characteristics, almost intact for over 1,000 years. The ocean once separated Iceland from the world, but it also became a natural barrier protecting the horse population. For them, national borders are more than just a barrier. Number 2. The town that could disappear. Grindavik was once a peaceful fishing town in southwestern Iceland, where life revolved around its harbor, low-rise houses, and familiar streets. Then the ground began to move. Thousands of small earthquakes struck in quick succession. Streets cracked, the ground rose and sank, and magma silently moved beneath the settlements. Danger was too close. Authorities were forced to evacuate thousands of people as magma threatened to erupt between houses, schools, or roads in the town. As eruptions continued, lava advanced closer to Grindavik, destroying several structures and threatening the electricity, water, and roads connecting the community to the rest of the peninsula. To protect the town, Iceland erected massive earthen and stone walls around key areas. These couldn't stop the volcanic eruption. A more realistic goal was to slow the lava flow, divert it away from homes and infrastructure, and buy time for response forces to protect what could still be saved. Some residents were allowed to return during safe periods, but Grindavik is still far from returning to its former way of life. The town's future depends on what's happening deep underground. This story illustrates how even a modern community with homes, schools, and a fishing port can be pushed to the brink of extinction after just a few consecutive eruptions. Number 1. The quirks that exist only in Iceland. Nestled in the almost uninhabited Central Highlands, Askja lies within a world of volcanic rock, black ash, and vast, empty plains stretching to the horizon. This area belongs to a large volcanic system, where eruptions and magma chamber collapses have created enormous calderas. The landscape is almost devoid of trees. It resembles another planet. It was this harsh appearance that made Iceland a unique training ground for the Apollo astronauts in the 1960s. They weren't there to practice walking in a zero-gravity environment, but to learn how to identify volcanic rock, read the terrain, and select scientifically valuable samples before landing on the moon. Iceland's lava fields, craters, and thick ash layers helped them become familiar with an unfamiliar landscape, where there were virtually no signs of life. Decades later, NASA continued to use Iceland's terrain for preparatory activities related to the Artemis program. Astronauts and experts practice navigation, geological observation, and mission coordination in an isolated, cold, and unpredictable environment. Visiting Askja today is still not like a typical sightseeing trip. Highland routes are usually only open in the summer, and access times depend on snow, river levels, and weather conditions. Visitors often need suitable off-road vehicles, spare fuel, warm clothing, and emergency plans because the area has virtually no services. Therefore, a journey to Askja feels closer to an expedition than a tourist trip. This is where humans once prepared for the moon right here on Earth. However, on the winding roads around Iceland, the scenery can make driving seem simpler than it actually is. The ring road connects many towns, waterfalls, glaciers, and famous beaches. But the weather on the island changes very quickly, especially in open areas without mountains or buildings to provide cover. It can go from sunny to rain, snow, or fog in a short distance. Beauty always comes with danger. Wind is a particular threat to campervans and tall vehicles. Strong crosswinds can push vehicles off the road, cause them to lose balance, or force drivers to stop, while a sudden gust of wind is enough to snap car doors open and damage the hinges if the driver isn't careful. Therefore, checking wind forecasts and road conditions is essential before every trip. At Reynisfjara Beach, unexpected waves can surge much further ashore than previous ones. They appear quickly, sweeping people down and dragging them into the cold water, where the chances of escape are very low. Many tourists are in danger simply for standing too close to the sea to take pictures. Glaciers are also not as safe as they seem. Deep cracks can be covered by fresh snow, making walkers think they are walking on a solid surface. Therefore, ice walks require guides and appropriate equipment. When accidents occur, Icelandic volunteer rescue teams often have to search for missing people, rescue stranded vehicles, or assist tourists in snowstorms. Icelandic nature is easily accessible, but it has never been easy to control. And, in eastern Iceland, Sturlagil was once an almost invisible canyon, hidden by the deep, muddy, and fast-flowing Jökulsá, a Dal river. For many years, most of the basalt columns lay underwater, so the area was little known. Even to many Icelanders, everything changed when a hydroelectric project significantly reduced the water flow through the valley, revealing massive rock walls that looked almost man-made. A wonder emerged. The basalt columns formed when lava cooled slowly, contracting and cracking into elongated, vertically oriented polygonal blocks. At Sturlagil, they are arranged closely together to form two high cliffs surrounding the river, creating a landscape that is both natural and feels like an ancient architectural marvel. The water's blue or turquoise color is often featured in famous photographs, but this color isn't always visible in every season. Melting ice, heavy rains, silt, and reservoir regulation can cause the water to turn brown, gray, or become much murkier than it appears in online photos